April 16th at 7 p.m. This is a public meeting, and we are held. It is an electronic meeting, and this is in accordance with the Executive Order of 2020-1, which superseding the enforcement of the provisions of the Code 52-4-202 and 52-4-207 by Governor Gary Herbert on March 18th, 2020, due to the infectious disease coronavirus, or otherwise known as COVID-19. So there is no physical meeting at a location right now. The public may listen, and the open portion of our meeting is electronically, so they'll need to send any type of comments or feedback to our www.laytoncity.org/LC/city/connect. And I believe that it will be streaming at the bottom of the screen as we proceed forward. So I just wanted to let everyone know that as we open up this meeting. With that, in our standard tradition, I do want to turn the time over to Council Member Clint Morris. He will be opening up our meeting with our traditional pledge and prayer. So, Councilman Morris, take over.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I've asked our city manager, Alex Jensen, to give the invocation after we rise and repeat the Pledge of Allegiance after me. So please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father which art in heaven, we are grateful this beautiful spring evening for the opportunity to gather together as a Layton City Council and staff and citizens to conduct the business of this wonderful community. We pray, Father in heaven, for thy Spirit to be with us, that the deliberations and decisions that are made, that all will take into consideration the best interests of the community at large. We're grateful for the citizens of this community and for their goodness and for their willingness, particularly at this time, to reach out and to strengthen and support and help each other. We're grateful for the mayor and city council, Father, who have been elected by the people of this community. We're grateful for the seriousness of purpose they have as they strive to represent and to serve the people of this community. We pray that this evening we may be blessed with understanding and with insight, with the ability to make decisions which will not only provide blessings and opportunities in the short run, but also in the long run. We also ask, Father in heaven, that would continue to bless all of those who are involved in the efforts to bring about a change in the impact of COVID-19. We recognize all those who are providing service, and we pray that would hear the prayers that have been offered and would bless our city and bless our country and in fact the entire world, that purposes may be accomplished. Again, we are thankful for the privilege to live in a free country and to live in this wonderful community of Layton. And we pray for these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, thank you very much, Alex Jensen, our city manager, and council member Clint Morris for leading us in the prayer and pledge. So with that, we'd like to go ahead and start our meeting. I'll call it to order. And council, we do have the minutes to adopt. I will not read them because what I would like to do is make sure that as we speak here tonight, knowing that this is a somewhat of a slight delay, that you please make yourself known every time you speak so that know that, as well as our recorder. and that when you're not speaking, to make sure your mic is muted. So, and I may go ahead, if you don't mind, I think I'll call each one of you out just for the ease of the roll call on any of these items that we need to vote on. And even I think as far as the minutes here, if I could ask Councilman Bloxham, if you wouldn't mind reading off our minutes and go ahead and acknowledge an approval of those.
Sure. You want me to make a motion?
Yes, I'd like the
Okay.
motion, but if you would,
Sure.
just go ahead and read each one of them off.
Sure. Madam Mayor, I motion that we approve the minutes of Layton City Council special meeting January 23rd, 2020. Work meeting February 6th, 2020. Work meeting March 19th, 2020. City Council meeting March 19th, 2020. And emergency City Council meeting March 27th, 2020.
And Councilman Fitzpatrick, I'll second that motion.
Okay, very good. With that, I'd like to go ahead and just follow through with the roll call vote. I'll start with Councilman Day,
Yes.
Councilman Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Councilman Clint Morris.
Aye.
Okay, Councilman Zach Bloxham
Aye.
and Councilman Dave Thomas.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Thank you all for approving those minutes. We'll move on to item number 2, which is municipal events. I think I'll go ahead and open that up. Typically, I know Mr. Thomas would give us the municipal events. Would you, Dave, do you have anything to comment there?
Just one event is stay home.
Okay, very good. We appreciate that. I do know that obviously in these tumultuous times, it's difficult for us to have anything going on. However, I do want to continue to inform our citizens of some items that they can do right now as far as showing your spirit towards the city. The Parks and Rec Department, you know, we kicked off the Centennial celebration, which quite honestly is like everything else, it's on hold. However, there's 3 events that you can participate in. One is the t-shirt contest that's continuing. So anybody who has the I Love Layton t-shirt, proceed with those photos and continue to send those in. In addition to that, we do have our time capsule program. I know last meeting I kind of shared with you some ideas that you can do for that. And although it might be difficult for us to collect those items right now, we will proceed with that initiative to kind of, you know, share your ideas there. So just continue to work on those and hang on to those items until it's possible for us to all get together, or for the lift where we can have you bring them on down to the city and fill out the proper paperwork. With that, we have another fun idea. I vaguely alluded to it last time as far as the Centennial metal scrap sculpture. This is something that we definitely want to continue with, and with the good weather here and people wanting to get out in their yards, I'm going to continue to stress the fact that, you know, let's do the best we can to kind of get our yards cleaned up. And with the landfill opened, yes, you can take your debris to the landfill. But in addition, should you come across any of the metal that we could use in our sculpture, we would love to have you donate that to the city. There's going to be a flyer that will be put out on the social media that will kind of give you more details about it. Just quickly, I can tell you that the drop-off location is at the, it's the maintenance building for our Parks and Rec that's on the corner of Cross Street and Gentile. The hours are from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. It's there. You will not have any assistant there, but they have some good signage up and direction as to where you can pull in and offload those items. So, you know, we're looking for all kinds of metal, whether it be an old yard rake, you know, a shovel that's broken, that's got a metal head on it, maybe some bicycle parts, car parts, you know, just some fun sculpture, just some good metal that our artists can then create a fine sculpture representing the centennial year. With that, I'm going to go ahead and continue on. I know, Mr. Crane, you're kind of watching our what's it called? Our live comments section. And typically at this time, we would have citizens' comments. Has there been anything at all come in since we've started our meeting?
Nothing that I can see.
Okay.
I've been monitoring it and I don't see any that have come in to date.
Very good. We can then move on to our consent items, and we do have one public meeting. I have a question though for Mr. Crane. In looking at the agenda items here, typically we would have public comments. I mean, this item here, I don't know that we would receive many, but I have a question. Would it be appropriate for me to go ahead and go out of order as far as our posted agenda and cover item number 6 first, which is our public meeting? We could open it up, allow the presenter to present, and hold off on the approval of that until we can see if there's any comments come in. Meanwhile, while we're waiting for those comments, go back to item number 5, which is our consent items, deal with those, and then close our public meeting. Is that possible?
Yes, you could do that.
Very good. I think then I am going to exercise that right then, because I think it's important that we give our citizens an opportunity to comment whenever they can. So council members, I'm going to move down to item number 6, which is our public hearing. It's a rezone request, and I will go ahead and turn the time over to Mr. Chad Wilkinson, who will present that to us, and then I will look for a motion to open the public meeting. So with that, Chad.
Thank you, Mayor. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. So this is a request for a zone change. This was taken to the Planning Commission at their previous meeting. They have reviewed this at their March 24th Planning Commission meeting, and they've recommended unanimously approval. I'll go quickly through the slides. The project site is located there on the right-hand side of the map, shown with that red asterisk there, just on Gentile Street. Just go quickly and show the map of the property. This is the location of the property outlined in red. It's approximately 2 acres. 2743 East Gentile Street is the address. The applicant has requested this zone change from R110 to agricultural zoning in order to make an existing legal non-conforming use become just a legal conforming by right use, just to continue the agricultural use of the property. We've looked at this in terms of our newly adopted general plan. This particular area is designated in the general plan as a neighborhood residential area under Chapter 2 of our newly adopted general plan. Agricultural uses are one of the compatible uses that's listed under that neighborhood residential area in the general plan. So this is consistent with our general plan. Agricultural zoning, as you know, is kind of our holding zone. When a property is annexed into the city, that's the zone that we assign to it until another zone can be assigned. So agricultural zoning is compatible with this particular part of the city based on the general plan. This is the Gordon Avenue Town Center that will be constructed subsequent to the completion of the Gordon Avenue interchange with Highway 89. One thing that's key that I want to point out is on this, if you can see my cursor, on the south side of the town center. Now, just to be clear, north is now on the right-hand side of your screen. The subject property is outlined in yellow with a star. Just to the north of it, on the south side of that town center area, there's a drainage facility that will be constructed as part of the Highway 89 improvements. That drainage area we feel will provide an adequate buffer from any types of mitigate any types of potential conflicts between uses in that area. It'll be a fairly large facility and will provide some additional buffer from anything that would be constructed as part of that town center. And again, in addition to that, this is already compatible with the neighborhood residential designation of our general plan. So with that, the Planning Commission reviewed this application on March 24th, recommended approval unanimously. Staff would also recommend that the City Council approve this request and approve Ordinance 20-06, changing the zoning of this property from R110 to agricultural. And I'd be happy to answer any questions if I can.
Hey, Council, do you have any questions? Okay, seeing that there's no questions, I'll look for a motion to open the public hearing regarding the rezone. Council Member Fitzpatrick, would you like to make that motion?
I'll make a motion that we open the public hearing.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, as I stated earlier, we'll go ahead and leave this public hearing open for the time being, and then go ahead and move on to our consent items, which our first item on the agenda will be presented by Mr. Dave Price. It's a license agreement between Layton City and the Tammy Boysen property. So, Mr. Price, if you could go ahead and join us here or make your presentation, we'd appreciate that.
Thank you, Mayor. Council, it's a pleasure to be here this evening to introduce Resolution 2026. As I get started here, Chad, would you mind closing your presentation so I can open one? So this evening, I have the pleasure of introducing resolution. Can you see that?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Resolution 2026. This resolution, if approved, provides for a license agreement between Layton City and Tammy Boysen for the property located north of Case Creek near Dawson Street. IHC Health Services Incorporated conveyed property located north of Case Creek near Dawson Street to Layton City. The city accepted these properties in January of 2020 and June of 2019, respectively. These properties house a section of the Case Creek Trail that was completed by IHC Health Services in accordance with the development agreement dated June 19, 2008, between Layton City and IHC. Layton City accepted ownership of the property to maintain, operate, repair, inspect, protect, install, remove, and replace the Case Creek Trail, culvert, and the natural environments attendant with the floodplain in perpetuity. Tammy Boysen, the property owner to the east of this property, has expressed a desire to access and use a portion of the property. In exchange, she has agreed to maintain this portion of land. She understands the limitations of the license, that she cannot place any structures on the property, and that any improvements may become the property of the city at the termination of this lease. And so, as you can see, the property we're talking about on the screen is right here. Tammy Boysen's property is to the northeast, and the sliver of property that we're talking about is shaded right here. It's about a 15-foot width from the fence line to the bottom of the slope. The city has constructed a fence along the top of that slope, this fence right here. And the fence is to delineate this property that she would use. The staff has evaluated the significance of this property relative to the public's use and has determined that it is in the city's best interest to enter into a license agreement with Tammy Boysen. Layton City will reserve all ownership rights in perpetuity. Layton City and Tammy Boysen may terminate this agreement at any time for any reason by giving 30 days written notice to the other party. And so on the left side of the trail, you see that fence. The area that she's interested in is a 15-foot section of property that goes from the back of the fence down off the slope to her property line. We felt that it was in our best interest to allow her to maintain that property, and we keep control of the area up on top where the trail is. The staff recommends the council adopt resolution 2026, adopting and approving a license agreement between Layton City and Tammy Boyson regarding property located north of Case Creek near Dawson Street, with reservation of ownership rights to the city in perpetuity, and authorize the mayor to sign the necessary documents. Are there any questions? Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Price. We appreciate that. Our next item up on our consent item is the bid award for post asphalt paving and construction. This will be presented by Mr. Terry Colburn. And I'll give him just a minute so that he can then pull up his, well, I'm not sure if he'll have a screen, but he wants to pull up the screen so that we can then see it and have him present that item. So Mr. Colburn, you're up.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. There is no screen on either of my two items. Resolution 2024 is a bid award to post asphalt paving and construction, SR State Road 193 from 920 East to 1700 East Sidewalk Connection Project. Resolution 2024 authorizes the execution of an agreement between Layton City and Post Asphalt Paving and Construction Incorporated for the SR 193 920 East to 1700 East Sidewalk Connection Project. The project includes installation of sidewalk, curb and gutter, road base, topsoil, and sod and sprinklers. 3 bids were received, with Post Asphalt Paving and Construction Incorporated submitting the lowest responsible bid in the amount of $154,505. The engineer's estimate was $125,000. Staff recommends the council adopt resolution 2024 and force council's information. The state is chipping in $90,000 on this project.
Well, that's an added bonus. I like that idea. Council, do you have any questions for Mr. Colburn? Okay, seeing that there's none, would you, Mr. Colburn, you can proceed on to item number C, which is the bid award for the corporation agreement.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Bring before the council resolution 2025, a bid award and cooperative agreement with Post Asphalt Paving and Construction Incorporated and Utah Department of Transportation for the project at East Gentile and Oak Hills Drive Intersection Improvement Project. Resolution 2025 authorizes the execution of an agreement between Layton City and Post Asphalt Paving and Construction Incorporated for the East Gentile Oak Hills Intersection Improvement Project, as well as a cooperative agreement between Layton City and Utah Department of Transportation for the participation in the cost of the project. The project includes the installation of approximately 18,000 square feet of asphalt, 1,400 lineal feet of curb and gutter, 375 feet of sidewalk, storm drain pipe, boxes, and associated items. 2 bids were received, with Post Asphalt Paving and Construction Incorporated submitting the lowest responsible bid in the amount of $443,245.65. The engineer's estimate was $300,000. Subject to the attached provisions, UDOT has agreed to reimburse the city a lump sum of $126,000 as a total contribution to the project. Staff recommends the council adopt and ratify resolution 2025.
Council, do you have any questions on item C? Okay, seeing that there's none, I will go ahead
I had a
and,
quick one, Madam Mayor, sorry. Councilman Bloxham.
Go ahead.
Just a quick question, Terry. Was there a reason why the engineer's estimate was so substantially lower than what the actual responsive bid was?
Councilman Bloxham, no, we've been seeing this mostly. We've had a couple come in under, but most of the bids that we've received over the last few years have been above the engineer's estimate because of the way the economy was. But other than that, there is no explanation for it.
Okay, any other questions? Seeing that there's no more questions on our consent items, I will go ahead and call for a motion, knowing that these items are routine in nature and that we can enact on them in one single motion. So how about Councilman Morris? Would you mind making the motion?
Sure. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that we approve and adopt the consent items as presented this evening. A, of the resolution 20-26, license agreement between Layton City and Tammy Boyson. Resolution 2024, the bid award, Post Asphalt Paving and Construction Incorporated. And item C, resolution 2025, the bid award and cooperative agreement with Post Asphalt Paving and Construction and UDOT.
Okay, thank you. How about Councilman Thomas? Would you like to second that motion? Turn your mic on.
No, I'll second it.
Thank you very much. We had to liven it up a little bit here. Okay, with that, let's go ahead and go for, again, I'll just do a roll call vote on these consent items just for the sake of the public knowing. Let's start with Council Member Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Council Member Morris.
Aye.
Council Member Bloxham.
Aye.
Council Member Day.
Yes.
And Council Member Thomas.
Yep.
Okay, thank you very much. With that, we'll now move back to item number 6, which was our public hearing. It is open, and I would like to see if by chance any comment has come in. So with that, Mr. Crane, can you let us know if any comments have come through via the online?
Oh, Mayor, online relative to this particular item, there have been no comments. Just looking through to see. I did learn, Chad just taught me that if you refresh your page, that all of a sudden things that weren't there before show up. And so I'm just doing that right now. And after you make a decision on this public hearing, I probably need to bring to your attention the fact that we did receive a citizen comment up front. And so after this vote is taken and this item is completed, I can tell you what that is.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Crane. With that, council, I would look for a motion to close our public hearing. And
may I just interrupt you just 1 second?
Absolutely.
Sorry. I'm looking at like 2 sites right now, and I asked Ed if he would monitor the Facebook Live site as well. And we have a question from Dan Munch, and he asked, what is the current use that they want the A zoning for?
Okay,
I'd be happy to answer that, Madam Mayor. The current use is single-family residential use, but there is an agricultural component that's a legal, non-conforming use right now. It's completely legal. There's nothing that's illegal about the use. What they would like to do is change the zone so that they have a legal conforming use, which means it conforms with the underlying zone, so they can continue that agricultural use. So that's what's going on. There's really no change to the existing use on the property.
Okay, council, do you have any other questions before I call for a motion?
Yeah, this is Tom. Gary, in regards to the comments you received, is the one from Paul Hubenthal?
Yes.
Okay, he's contacted me and maybe some of the other council members just to make sure that comment was in the citizen comment period. But that's not related to this public hearing, correct?
Yes, not at all. I actually just refreshed my page and he popped up 5 times. So
Okay, we'll talk about that in a minute then.
yeah.
Okay, with that, Councilman Day, would you mind go ahead and take an action on item number 6, our public hearing, closing it and making a motion?
Yeah, I'd like to make the motion that we approve the rezone for the moon rezone from R110 to agriculture as stated.
Okay, thank you very much. Councilman Thomas, would you like to second that?
I second it.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. With that, I'll take a roll call vote on our public hearing. Let's start with Councilmember Thomas.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Bloxham.
Aye.
Councilmember Morris.
Aye.
And Councilmember Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That vote is unanimous.
I
And
don't get a vote, huh?
excuse me, Tom. Good catch there, Mr. Day.
It's a yes.
Sorry. Okay, with that, that brings the public hearing to an end. However, I know Mr. Crane had mentioned he received some public comments, so I'd like to turn the time over to Mr. Crane to inform us of those comments.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. We have a comment from Paul Hubenthal. I think this comment also came through at our last citizen comment, except it is, he has requested that I read this. Citizen comment, of course, is a period of time when citizens can make comments. They're generally given about 3 minutes to do so. This is a little bit of a lengthy item, but it doesn't require a response from you, of course. Citizen comment doesn't, but he's asked that we read this, and it looks like he's contacted Councilmember Day for that same purpose. So I'm going to go ahead and read it to you. And as I indicated, there's no action required on citizen comments, but I'll read it for you. It says, is that all right, Mayor, if I go ahead and read it?
Absolutely. This is the citizens meeting.
Okay. So it says, I would like my official public comment read into the public record and included in the minutes of the meeting. I also request a response from our elected officials similarly made a matter of public record and included in the minutes of the meeting. Once again, you're not responsible for responding to citizen comment. If they were an actual item on the agenda, then you would respond to it, but citizen comment is spontaneous, and so you're not required to answer that. But as many of you have noticed, there has been a series of acts suppressing constitutional rights and freedoms across our nation and even within the state of Utah. Governors, commissioners, and mayors across the country have been attacking religious institutions, rights of worship, speech, and the right of the people to access tools of self-defense. Many of our elected officials have deliberately and knowingly failed to uphold their oath and have overreached their authority. One need only to observe what is happening in Virginia, Pittsburgh, Kentucky, Michigan, Mississippi, Nevada, California, and Salt Lake County. Among the many encroachments upon our rights has been the pattern of further regulations intent on stripping our Second Amendment rights away from law-abiding citizens. They know any new law or such encroachment only hurts the law-abiding, not the criminals. We need to stand up and stand together in this fight for our rights in a show of solidarity with our founding fathers, our Constitution, and Uintah County. Let us now make the city of Layton a Second Amendment sanctuary city. In attending many city council meetings, I have witnessed this council's willingness to declare proclamations from these very chambers. In this spirit, I am petitioning our city council and mayor to pass a resolution that recognizes the rights law-abiding citizens who act in accordance with the U.S. Constitution and the Utah Constitution and affirm their rights to keep and bear arms, and that no law, regulation, policy, resolution, or ordinance will be passed in this city that would infringe upon the citizens' rights, including red flag laws. I am asking for each council member, our elected officials, and not a city employee, to sound off now on their support or such a resolution, and let the record show their position on this matter. Now is the time to stand up for freedom and the rights we cherish, and to affirm the role of governments to secure to each individual the free exercise of conscience and the right for protection of life, and to not encroach upon the Second Amendment, a right so divinely bestowed. Any response should be made by an elected official consistent with the bylaws and my rights as a citizen. And it's signed by, it was sent by Paul Hubenthal. And anyway, that's it. Once again, on citizen comment, you don't have any obligation to respond, but it's entirely up to you as to whether you choose to.
I have a comment. We're a new mayor, and we have 4 new council members. We all took an oath of office when we were sworn in, and we remember the words of that was that we were going to uphold both the U.S. Constitution and Utah's Constitution. So I guess I'm not. And that's what we do, and that's part of the Constitution. So I'm not sure why anything extra would be needed other than we're sworn in to uphold the Constitution.
Any other comments?
It's Councilman Blockson. I would just like to thank Paul for taking time to share his comments to the elected officials. We serve you as members of this body, and there's a lot of individuals that have very closely held beliefs, and the Constitution is one of those. So I just echo what Councilman Morris said, that we have, as council members, have given our oath to defend and protect the constitutions of the United States and Utah, and the Second Amendment is a part of that Constitution, both federally and statewide, and we'll do our best to uphold that.
And I will agree with my 2 council members that have spoke.
So, Mayor,
I was just going to ask Gary, and I've seen this in the news and other locations, other jurisdictions where in counties mostly, what is the legal ramifications? What does that even mean to do a resolution? I understand the resolution is, but what would it more enforce?
Well, the way that he's written, or what he's written and asked for, he's requesting a resolution that essentially where the city makes a commitment not to pass any law, ordinance, or any other type of regulation that would interfere with an individual in their exercise of their Second Amendment rights. So just to give you an example, Representative Malloy tried to pass a bill this session that specifically did that, and I believe it failed. It did not pass the state legislature, but it was a very complete bill that actually by state law was going to actually impose that requirement on local governments. It was given rise as a result of, I think, a Salt Lake County Act, and I think Mr. Hubenthal has referred to that, where the Salt Lake County actually did not want, or wanted, I think it was, they required a concealed carry permit for those who carried in the Salt Palace. not the Salt Palace, but the facility on 90th South, when they had a gun show there, they made some restrictions, and I'm not sure all of the restrictions that they made, but they made some restrictions on individuals entering that facility for that purpose. And there were a lot of Second Amendment folks that did not like that, including some folks up at the legislature. And so what the resolution does, it has no legal implication. In other words, it doesn't cause an ordinance to be created or a regulation that would be enforceable by law. But what it would do is it would maybe force or indicate your commitment not to pass anything that has to do with the regulation of firearms within the city. And that might include things like unlawful discharge, controlling the hunting, those types of things that we currently have in place. They're all ordinances that regulate the use of firearms, and the resolution he's asking for would essentially say that you're not going to do any of that, and not going to have that happen. Does that make sense?
Okay, does that answer everybody's question? If so, I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
One more comment just came in. Sorry, Mayor.
Well, I should have thought of that. Thank you for catching me.
Yes, so this one says, in light of the recent city and county discussions related to C-19 pandemic, can the council speak to the city's plans for summer plans and events? And this is from Terry Cooper.
So, council, are we prepared to go ahead and comment on our earlier work meeting on how we'd like to proceed?
I think I will, and Dave Price, you jump in if you at all feel that it's necessary. To this particular individual and this particular subject, this has been something that has been of concern to the council and to the employees in the Parks and Rec Department. Decisions, if made, will be difficult in nature, but our primary role is for the protection of the citizens. There's going to be a lot of thought go into this. There has been a lot of thought by the Parks and Rec Department, and probably decisions will be made shortly as to what goes on for the summer months. We will most likely be looking at what the governor and how they want to roll out opening services as part of that. But please know that we're not here to ruin summer fun. We all want to get out of our homes as much as you do and participate in things, but the health and safety of our residents will be the number one thing we look at in these decisions. And thanks to Parks and Rec for all that they have done.
Mayor, if I could, Dave Price, Parks and Recreation Director for Layton City. This is what we do. This is what we love. This is why we got into our professions. And so we are used to playing an important part in people's life and healthy lifestyles. And so this has been hard for us, but we do believe that at this time there are some restrictions in place. But please, come out and enjoy our parks. We've never seen our parks as filled with people and families walking our trails and, enjoying those outdoor spaces in a safe and safe way. And so, we look forward to being able to serve the public, and hope they, for now, can come out and enjoy it in a little limited way. Thank you.
Okay, thank you both for commenting there. And the only caveat to that is obviously the social distancing. If you're under one household, if you all live under the same household, then you're fine to be closer than 6 feet. Otherwise, please make sure that you do maintain the governor's request and the Department of Health in making sure that we stay at least 6 feet away. In addition to that, I know that we had a discussion earlier in regards to our events coming up possibly in May. And I believe that after hearing everybody's comment on that, we recognize that our May events will have to be probably canceled, and which mean anybody who has signed up for those will be receiving the refund. But we apologize for that, but we felt like that May is just a little too early to proceed with any of those scheduled events. Again, we're sorry that all of us are in this pandemic right now, but thank goodness we're showing the respect for one another and keeping the numbers down to where they're maintained, so that hopefully this won't take a toll on anybody, and especially the loss of a life here. So with that, I again thank everyone for attending our meeting. I'll call one more time to see if Mr. Crane has had any more public comments.
I am just refreshing right now. Let's see. Okay, there was just let's see, hang on just a second here. So Mr. Hubenthal just wrote one more comment. He said, how do I get added to the agenda for a future council meeting? And we can certainly respond to him on that issue. And that, I guess the answer to that would be he needs to make a request through the city manager. And that's it.
Okay. If that's the end of our public comments or any comments that come in online, council, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I second it. I thought you made the motion. I make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you everyone, and thank you Layton City for watching our live stream here, and stay home, stay safe, and let's get this virus behind us. Good night.